Do you mind just saying something real quick? Mic check.
Hi, my name's Declan. I've been sober for 13 months now.
How do I start these off again?
Hi guys, Michael.
Hey guys, to the three of you who watch these, long time no see. Welcome back to another episode of my channel. Today we have a very special guest, someone who's been a very close friend of mine for a long time. Someone who I thought would be a very good guest on the show, just because you've taken kind of a more non-traditional route compared to the other guys.
Yeah.
It's Declan.
Hi, I'm Declan. I've known Michael since first grade, and now we're 24 and 25, and yeah, I definitely chose the non-traditional route of going to college but not trying at all. Yeah, it took 4 years for me to really feel like, oh, maybe I should apply myself. And when I started, I was like, oh, I'm not good at what I chose, and I'm already 4 years into this. So it didn't really make sense to continue to force myself to do it. I chose computer science because I enjoyed, messing with code on video games and things like that. I was like, okay, cool. And then freshman year was a lot of core. I had one coding class and it was pretty easy, so I wasn't too worried about that. And then sophomore year I was like, yeah, I'm done applying myself. I don't have anyone, I was out of state, so there was no one there like, is my son going to class? So I wasn't going to class. And that went on for that whole year. I went to the 2 classes I enjoyed, and then did the same thing junior year. Well, what should have been junior year. Then senior year, I was like, okay, I've been goofing off too long. I still have enough credits. I'm basically 2 years into this education, even though I've been here for 3 years. Let's apply myself. And then got my first semester grades back and had 3 Fs, a C, and a B. And all the Fs were in all the computer science classes I was supposed to be taking. Yeah, the C was my math class, and the B was in my astronomy class. And from there I was like, cool, I'm gonna not do school anymore. And continued living in Colorado until my lease went up, and I just worked down there for a while. And then came back up here and things changed.
So since moving back here, I guess, what made you want to move back here instead of staying in Colorado?
My mom's entire side of the family was up here, and a lot of the time when I was in Colorado, I was struggling, with homesickness and depression of missing my family, and I had zero motivation to do anything. I would only go to work because I needed to eat and afford a place to live. And then other than that, I would only be at home, mostly by myself, occasionally hanging out with friends. But like if they went out somewhere that was more social than like a small gathering, like a coffee shop or and manga shop that lets you sit and read and hang out with friends, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go with them to clubs or parties or anything like that. I was like, no, I have this tight-knit group, and that's all I have interest in. And like at work, I'd hang out with a couple coworkers outside of it, but rarely ever. So I was like, I need to go back home where all my family is, where, my good friends that I've known for almost 2 decades at that point, and like be around people that I enjoy and like continue to move forward with my life. Because I felt like I was stagnating in Colorado itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I guess since you moved back here, what have you been doing?
So I started out, when I got back, I was working at my aunt and uncle's restaurant in the same way I had been doing before I went to college, and like, the summers in between years. And I got a job at UPS, and was working in their warehouse, loading packages onto the semi-trucks. And then 5 days into that, my mom shared with me a link on Facebook of a family friend looking for an assistant at a construction site. And I reached out to him and said, hey, I don't have a lot of experience in construction, but I'm interested, you know, can we meet? Can we talk about this? Am I even qualified? And he brought me out and said, you can have the job if you want it. And I said, cool, I'll start tomorrow. And called UPS and said, I'm done. They told me, oh, you're not gonna give us your 2 weeks? I'm like, I've worked there less than 1 week, so no. And yeah, started on a Friday, and now I'm 2 years and 2 months into it and still really enjoying and like the job itself and what I'm learning to do, working construction, all that. Yeah. And you know, aside from just work, I've been better up here because I'm able to see friends and actually get together and feel like, you know, I don't just have to be in my house all the time. I get to go hang out with family and things like that and actually go out and do things rather than just, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to play video games that I don't even like for hours just so when my friends come over, I can beat them because of the competitive drive. So, a lot has changed in the past 2 years. I've went from thinking I was going to work a tech job to working an actual labor job and really, really enjoying it and feeling like I've learned more in these 2 years than I ever did from 3.5 years of formal education in college.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I think you're actually one of the people who I wanted to get on the channel the most, just because, like you said, more of a non-traditional route, and you, not only that, but you spent so much time, you basically graduated and then decided not to graduate. And I think I can relate to your position a lot because I also failed a couple classes that were in my core class, but I decided to continue schooling. But I know a lot of people who in the same failed a couple classes and thought maybe this isn't for me. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think about that too. Right? Maybe medicine isn't for me. Yeah. Maybe, you know, this far into the application process, maybe I should stop. But I think it's really awesome and really inspiring to see you, something happened to you that I feel like would really demoralize, or not demoralize, but like demotivate, I guess, a lot of people and like really crush them. But really turn it around into your position now. And so, yeah, it's awesome. So I guess for those people kind of in that similar situation, going through that transitionary phase, thinking, I guess what I want to say is like I want you to speak more to the people who think that maybe college isn't the answer, or maybe education isn't the answer. And so, especially since you're going to have experiences on both sides, right?
Yeah.
So I guess, do you have anything to say towards those people in that transitionary period who's kind of on the borderline? The one thing I wish I had done before I went to college, looking back, is taken a gap year to try something unrelated to what I was planning on studying, which in this case, construction is pretty unrelated to computer science. And then that way, you know, you can kind of see a spectrum of what's out there. You know, I'm not saying go job hopping, spend 1 week doing this, 1 week doing that. Like, give something an actual chance that you didn't, you know, don't make it something so random you've never even thought about it before, but something like, oh, you know, I used to enjoy working with my grandpa when I was younger, or, you know, I enjoyed going on fishing trips on the weekend with my uncle, or whatever. Try something like that and see if it speaks to you on a different level now that you're an adult looking towards the future. Because I'd always done projects with my dad around the house. I helped do demolition on my aunt and uncle's restaurants, and, you know, enjoyed it working with my hands and like understanding like, why do I need this tool? What's its best purpose? And, you know, learning all those ins and outs of how it works. And now I'm like, okay, cool. I now have enough knowledge that we made a mistake purchasing new appliances and had to change the shape of our cabinets in the laundry room. And I was like, cool, I can do that. It'll take me 4 hours in the morning, and then did it, and it's done, and we're all good there. And I feel like that's actually a real life application of what I'm doing and learning at work. It's not just
I go to work and I code, and then I come home and I gotta, cook top ramen and feed kids. I'm like, no, I actually get to use what I do every day in my personal life. And I feel like having an overlap like that, where you work but you still enjoy it and are able to apply it elsewhere, is good. And it's not necessarily the case for everybody, but it's worth exploring and looking into, especially if you're feeling like formal education isn't the best, because sometimes the real life experience does help you find that spot you want to be in. Yeah.
I guess the last question I have is, with where you are now, do you see yourself kind of continuing your construction job going in the future, or like kind of what are the long-term goals moving forward?
So I definitely do see myself continuing with it. I've told my boss a couple of times, I've known this boss since I was young. He grew up with my older cousins, so he's been around the whole time. And I've told him, I was like, you need to start your own business so I can have your job and continue to move forward in my life. Because he's 32, I'm 25. He was in my position when he was 25, so I'm like, you've laid the path. And I meet with him like once every other month, like, hey, what do I need to do to progress forward in this? I enjoy it, and it hits what I want from life. Like I'm learning new things almost every day, and that's what I want. So I'm like, what do I need to do to make sure I keep that pattern going and continue? Like, maybe I doubt I'll follow the exact pattern he did, because he had experience before he got to my spot, but like maybe I'm 8 years slower than him, but I still get to do it by the time I'm 40, working a superintendent's position and things like that, because I really, really enjoy what I do.
Yeah, I don't even really know how to like phrase this question, but like all the times when you see videos, kind of like the videos that I'm doing is kind of geared towards, or when you think of age groups, you think of like, you have 18 to like 22-ish for college age, and then you have like 30s and up, right, working age. And so there's kind of that missing group in the middle we don't really talk about, because it's a big transitionary period, right? Yeah. And those are kind of the people that I wanted to approach, right? Especially because like at the time when we just graduated, there's always that, Kyle's going through a rough time, Joel's going through a rough time. Everyone was just like super depressed.
Yeah. It's a rough time.
It's a rough time. So I don't know, I guess I just wanted to like, I guess I don't have any specific question regarding that, but I don't know, just like talking about what it's like to be kind of that middle group, that transitionary group.
Being in this transitionary group has led me a lot to looking into like how our age group is dealt with around the world.
Right.
Because not the biggest fan of the way America does a lot of things, so I've just been like, okay, how do they do it there? And I found like a lot of countries, our age group, it's expected you're still living with your parents and working and helping around the house until you're getting married and leaving and starting your own family. Like there's another step there, whereas a lot of kids our age are feeling like, I'm a burden on my parents living at the house, I need to get out, and we're stepping into, especially in like the Washington housing market, it's so expensive. I'm only making $50,000 a year, but the houses I want to buy are like, well, not that I want to buy, that are in my area are like $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, and I'm like, that's terrifying to me. I'm like, I don't want to. That's 8 years of work with 0 bills and 0 taxes, and I'm like, no, how? Like, I need to eat. And I see, like, my younger brother is about to graduate college, and he asked me, his girlfriend's a year behind him, and she'll graduate next year, and he's like, there should be no problem for us getting a house when we graduate, right? And I'm like, I don't want to crush his hopes and dreams, but I'm like, they both want to be teachers, and sadly teachers don't make a lot. And I'm like, this is like the 4th most expensive housing market in the United States, behind California, New York, and Colorado. which Colorado jumped us recently. We were 3rd in 2018. And we're just exploding housing markets. And I'm like, if you want to stay here close to the family, it's gonna be hard. Like, there's challenges we're facing that, you know, feel hard to even think about approaching. I'm like, I'm building houses, and I'm like, okay, cool. Why is this house $500,000? I feel like it's just not, you know, it's a production house in a suburb, you know, pre-planned community. Boom, here's 50 houses, 3 different models. You can have 7 in a row that are the exact same layout. And I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. Sorry, little hiccup. So just being in this age group, and it's hard because you do have some friends that are ready and set up to go and move on to that next step. One of my closest friends got engaged 2 weeks ago and bought a house a week ago. Like, he's moving on. He's a year younger than I am, and I'm like, am I falling behind? Is he just that set up and moving forward? Or like, where is the pattern? Like, is it my fault? Or, because I'm happy for him nonetheless, but it's like, I'm in a completely different stage in my life. But we grew up together. We've known each other 20 years. And it's just hard to see, and I wish I could take that step back and understand, like, how it came to be this way. You know, I can reflect on my college experience and see, like, I kind of made the right decision doing what I did. You know, it has set me up better. Like, the way I've been doing it and the way I've been able to save money, I'll have my student loans paid off by the end of 2021. And it's just, like, every time I talk about moving out with my parents, my mom says, you know, it might not be a bad idea. And my dad, you know, he was hard on me in school, but now that I'm, like, comfortable in life, he's happy to help me. He's like, if you want to, you are welcome to stay here as long as you need to. Pay off those student loans, pay off that car you bought. And I'm like, I kind of want to take him up on that and take that year to just, because if student loans are off my shoulders at 26 years old, it's a completely different lifestyle from so many others who are in their 40s and 50s and still paying off student loans. So I feel like being willing to slow down and having that support system that's helping me accept that I can slow down is what I need right now and what I'm happy to have right now.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I think for me, and I think for a lot of other people, because you were talking about, like, taking a gap year before college, and I always talk about taking a gap year after college, right? Because I think for me and some other people, it's like, as soon as you, even like, whether you choose to go to college or not, right? It's like, once you're done with school, you have that idea you need to be in a job, you need to be in a career, you need to move your path forward, you're an adult now. Which is not necessarily the case, right? We're still young. I think that goes especially for people in kind of the longer term jobs, like law or medicine, right? Because you go through 4 years of grad school and then residency and all this stuff, and it's like you're in your mid-30s by the time you start your life. And I think it's not like I'm in a hurry necessarily, and it's not like I'm necessarily unhappy with where I am, but I also don't necessarily want to wait that long to get myself started. Especially when you're thinking about, like you said, friends getting married, or like, or even people like Kyle, for example, who's moved to California and like, living with family, but making 3 times as much as I did when I worked 3 jobs, right? So it's like, what am I doing with my life, right? I think that's where a lot of that kind of young adult depression kind of starts, is feeling behind, and then you kind of have to realize that everyone's behind. There's, I think especially, and I guess like especially for like Asian households, because there's like a big emphasis on like living your family and supporting them growing up, and it's like, and like we just moved in here not too long ago, and I always think about, do I want to move out or do I want to stay here and help out the family, My parents don't definitely want me to move out. And I guess
definitely don't?
Definitely don't want me to move out.
Gotcha.
They still wanted me to help out the shop and see my brothers and stuff. But at the same time, I want to find the college. Calvin's halfway through high school already. So, there's not a lot for me to do here.
Pal's Donuts and surgery.
Pal's Donuts and surgery. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Do I, and it's like, especially if I'm going to med school, it's like, do I want to move out for a year and then have to move again, or what? At the same time, maybe I'm not going to go to med school. So, I don't know. It's the big stage of like asking yourself questions and being really comfortable, having to be really comfortable where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking on that, we have to ask ourselves a lot of questions in this age group and everything. It's not bad to not be able to answer them all right away. Like, if someone were to ask me where I expect to be in 5 years, I'd be like, I don't know. The world we could literally die in nuclear fire in a month.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think that far ahead. I can plan for it as much as I want. Like, in 5 years, I'd like to have some kind of management position at the very least in my job, if I'm not taking over a superintendent kind of role where I'm in charge of my own job site. But I don't have an answer to that. I know what I want, but I see more and more things going on in the company and in the industry as a whole where I'm like, maybe that's not going to happen right now. Like, the housing market's in a boom, but lumber is getting hit hard.
Right.
So it's like, okay, that last time lumber got a big hit like this was right before the housing market crash in 2008.
Yeah.
Like, so, okay, what are we ending up with? Like, and like, I want an answer to the question, but I'm not going to let it weigh me down and prevent me from enjoying a life that I'm enjoying.
Right. I don't want to make it sound like it's all bad either, right? Like,
I didn't take it that way.
Yeah. I guess it's like, I think we get so caught up, in that trying to move forward that we kind of forget to enjoy life where we're at, right? Because I guess it's a little hard now with the pandemic and like how chaotic life has been recently, but at the the restrictions aren't that strict here. It's probably worse though in the quarantine, but that's the point. We're in an age of exploration. We literally have. That's why that's why I always talk about taking that year off. You have no commitments.
Yeah.
Use that time to travel. Use that time to spend time with friends. Really, build on hobbies. Do what you really like. And those things will really help you out in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like. You can see that, right? Because you look at med school apps, like one of the things they ask you is hobbies, right? Because they don't want you to like work yourself to death all the time. You want to make sure you have ways to express yourself and relax. And I think this age of life is, there's so much potential in it because it is a transitionary period. And so, like I said, we spend so much time trying to be adults that we forget that we are adults, but we're still kids, So,
yeah, like when I applied for my current job, my boss asked me, excuse me, so what are your vices? And I was like, I don't really know. And he goes, do you drink? And at the time I did, but twice a month with friends. And he's like, do you smoke? I was like, no. Do you smoke weed? No. Do you do drugs? No. I was like, are these things I'm supposed to be doing? Like, and he goes, well, what is it? I go, I play video games a lot. And he goes, I'll count it, but it's not really going to keep you from coming to work.
Yeah.
Have you heard of John Mulaney, the comedian?
I have, yeah.
Have you heard his bit about friendships as an adult?
I have not.
So it goes along the lines of, oh, we'll hang out next Wednesday. Oh, Wednesday doesn't work good for me. And then you don't see each other for 8 months, and that's perfectly fine. And when I first heard it in college, I was like, I'm never gonna think like that. And now I'm like, I don't see the person I consider my best friend but once a year. And it's okay. Like, I'm not like, oh my god, I miss him. Like, I do miss him, but it's not like I feel like I'm not being a good friend because I don't see him. I'm like, wow, that's weird. And it's just, because like, before the pandemic, some cluster of our group would get together like once a week.
Yeah.
And now it's like, this is the third time I've seen you since it started.
Yeah.
And it's just so different, and it's a weird transition, and I don't like it like on a conceptual level, but in my mind I'm like, it's not bad. Like,
Yeah.
we're able to live lives and still move forward. Of course we want to hear how we're doing and things are moving on and like what steps we're taking, but you'll still hear those stories in another week or a month or God, a year. Yeah. Time is not real right now.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes me think before pandemic started, it was a few of us would probably meet like once a week, maybe more than that, right?
Yeah.
We probably met more then than we did in like high school. We went to school with each other.
Yeah.
And now pandemic started, and it's been like maybe like once every like 3 months we message each other like, hey guys, I'm lonely, let's hang out. It's like, is this because of the pandemic? Obviously, but is it because we're old, right?
Yeah.
Because I imagine there's some of us who are like obviously going crazy living, alone, but at the same time, it's like there are times where I'm like, man, it's kind of nice being alone a little bit.
Yeah. Like I have no commitments. I get to just be. And yeah. Like tomorrow, all I have on my schedule is wash my car, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. Not filling the rest of that day.
Exactly. Tomorrow, I'm just gonna edit this vlog, which is probably not gonna be a lot of editing to do, and then I'm just gonna watch anime for the rest of the day, to be honest. So, I might actually rewatch Hyoka now that you mention it, just because it's so good.
It is really, really good.
Hyoka and Chunibyo.
What's your favorite arc in Hyoka?
I don't know. I don't know about arc. My favorite episode was finding about the teacher who was interested in helicopters.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really good one.
That was a good episode. My favorite episode definitely would have been the one where he confessed. If it hadn't have been a stupid
oh my gosh!
It's like, God, so mad when, because like she reacted and the light in her eyes, like she.
It was so perfect.
And then, oh no, I didn't say anything, motherfucker.
The anime is so pretty, and that moment was so. It used its aesthetic to the best, and it's just like, damn it.
I remember the first time he started noticing her, I was like, this dude is a 16-year-old starting to get horny, like puberty's really hitting him. And then I was like, oh no, they're genuinely falling for each other.
This dude's a freaking genius.
Right? Oh my god, the counterfeit episode.
Oh, that was a good one too.
Where, he's just like, it's just a theory, and then at the end he's reading the newspaper and he literally laid out exactly what happened.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe I am good at this. I really like the Jumanji episode, the reveal, when I felt so bad for Fukuba. Because he's always like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the one to solve it before he does.
Yeah.
And it's just, he can't. He's just not.
Yeah.
Also, the Valentine's chocolate episode.
Oh,
heartbreaking.
Oh, that hurts so bad.
Like, he took the bag, he shook it, and he goes, I have now given her chocolates to you. And I was like, oh, because I was thinking in the back of my mind, like maybe he took it, but I was like, oh, he's such a douche. Like, why? Why'd you have to be so mean to her?
Yeah, and I heard it, I'm like, yeah, okay, classic. That's kind of the answer I was expecting, but at the same time, she's been trying so hard.
Yeah. And she knew.
And she knew.
When Chitanda goes and tries to apologize, she just knew. She knew what happened. And like, it was awesome seeing Orike call him out. Like, you didn't even give a second thought to breaking it in half. She put in all that effort for it.
Yeah.
and you didn't even give it a second thought. I was like, yes, maturity, move forward, like apply effort into your life. That one hurt.
That one did hurt.
But you know, the episode ends with them talking to each other, so maybe it moves forward. I don't know.
Maybe in the newer chapters there's something. So we'll see. Maybe I'll just read it instead of watching it.
Yeah. God, I've just never watched anime before sophomore year of college. And I'm not as deep into it as some people, but I don't shut up about it.
It gets you hooked.
Yeah.
It's because it's like there's always one, right? And you can try anime, it's not your thing, but I feel like for everyone there's always one that's gonna hook you. Yeah, I don't know. And I love how, I guess going deeper into anime. I think the thing that I like about anime is that since it's cartoons, right? It's cartoons, but it's aimed towards young adults. And so it's something that we can enjoy. And it's like, since it is animated, it goes beyond the limitations of reality, obviously. But I mean that in the sense of not just like of action, right? It's even with something like a romance or like slice of life, it's like it goes so far beyond what you could ever imagine would happen in daily life. You know, Hyoka is like it's kids living in a literature club in high school, but it's so entertaining. Like you wouldn't imagine kids solving this unrealistic, unbelievable mystery that has like the whole city trying to hide it, right? And again, and with that, it's such a subtle love story that you don't even really, you realize it, but you don't even realize it really until the end. And so it's like, it's like really imagination's the limit. And I wish American media, you know, like you always talk about like, a lot of American media looks like anime. It's like, it's cartoons for kids. And I think in the American sense, that's true because cartoons are for kids here. And you can tell that by the art style. And I think as someone who draws a little bit, I think it's important to preserve that art style and that style of cartoonage. But I also wish we had a little more cartoons and anime stuff for young adults, right? If you have more stuff like Avatar: The Last Airbender, or like some of like this animated superhero stuff, is really great. And so I wish we had more of that.
Like Justice League Unlimited, you know, it's older now. I think it's like 2003. It's still good and holds up and is entertaining now. I first watched it when I was 21 years old. And it was still good. And like the DC animated universe is really good. And you know, they still make things for adults and young adults, but just some adults can't get past that thought of cartoons are for kids. Like, did you ever watch BoJack Horseman?
I did.
Definitely not for kids. Definitely not. Good show, really good show. But my parents wouldn't even consider it. I tried to talk them into it to watch an episode or two with me, and they wouldn't. I was like, okay, got it.
I think it's cool how anime kind of derives from paper media too, with some exceptions, but for the most part, right? Most anime comes from manga, most like the DC universe, and stuff like that. There's like, I don't know, because like there's some anime where I read the manga and then I watched the anime and I'm like, man, the manga really ruined the anime for me. Like One Piece is one of those things, because I was like, I read through an arc and then I watched the arc in anime and I'm like, man, it's just kind of, I know what's happening, this is kind of boring. But there's some anime too where there's some manga, I read it, I'm like, man, I would love to see this animated. I'd love to see it put in motion, like love to put, really dive my imagination into it. So I think it's really cool that it gives it kind of a chance and that it gives it that kind of publicity, right? And you can see that in like American media too, like Harry Potter, right? Where you gave Harry Potter, not a cartoon, but if you gave, you know, you make the movies, and people watch the movies, and now they're all reading the books, right? When people don't read nowadays. And so, I feel kind of guilty because I read all my manga online on a legal website. But no, I don't. FBI for watching. But it's like once I move out, I would love to buy a bookshelf and just fill it with paper media. You know.
Like I subscribe to Shonen Jump service. You know, it's $2.99 a month. You can read 100 chapters a day, and that's how I've been reading manga.
Yeah,
I like it, because I was, you know, not doing the same thing where I was reading it illegally. You know, definitely was, and I felt bad. I was like, no, I actually want to support these authors. I like what they're doing, and you know, and if this is what I can, because the price tag to buy like a completed, like I want to read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. There's like a couple hundred volumes.
Yeah.
At $7 a pop. Ugh. Or I can subscribe to whatever service it's on and read it that way. You know, I want to support, but I just also feel like it'd be weird having a bookcase. You've seen my room; it's clustered as it is, filled with just, you know, the manga I want. Which I intend, you know, also when I move out, I want a bookshelf filled with it. Yeah. I intend to just have a room that, you know, if I ever, I feel bad saying, when I ever get a girlfriend, this kind of room is like off limits at first. Like, it'll have all my posters and like pins and stuff. Like, this is my nerd room. Like, if you don't want your opinion of me to be ruined, don't go in there just yet.
It's been about 2 hours, so I've been very good. I never know how to end these things. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Anything else you want to say to the few viewers you have before you go?
Hi, future Declan. I'll be one of the viewers watching later. Yeah, but flashing back to the important part of this conversation. At this incredibly awkward stage of life, I can just recommend being willing to have those questions still hanging. Don't give up on them completely, but don't let them dominate these years of your life. Yeah, that's all I got.
Well said. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Deuces.